It's a warm summer evening in 1973. The bright lights of a Los Angeles television studio illuminate a stage that's about to witness something extraordinary. Outside, hundreds of people line up around the block, hoping to catch even a glimpse of what's about to happen inside. Cameras are positioned at every angle. The audience sits in hushed anticipation, dressed in their finest clothes, because tonight isn't just another talk show. Tonight is history in the making. 2 chairs sit center stage, separated by a small coffee table. Simple, elegant. Waiting, the host, a well-known broadcaster of the era, stands backstage, nervously adjusting his tie. He's interviewed presidents, movie stars, and Nobel Prize winners. But tonight feels different. Tonight, he's about to bring together 2 men who have transcended their crafts and become symbols of something far greater. 2 men who have inspired millions. 2 men who have faced down impossible odds and emerged victorious. 2 men who have changed the world not just with their fists, but with their words, their philosophy, and their unbreakable spirit. Muhammad Ali, the greatest. The man who danced in the ring like poetry in motion. The man who predicted the round he'd knock out his opponents and then did it. The man who sacrificed everything for his principles, who stood up to an entire government and said, "No, I will not go to your war." The man whose voice rang out not just in boxing arenas but in the streets, in living rooms, in the hearts of those who had been told they were less than, that they didn't matter, that they should know their place. Ali refused to know his place because his place was at the top, and he made sure everyone knew it. Bruce Lee, the Dragon. The man who moved so fast that cameras couldn't capture his punches at normal speed. The man who took an ancient martial art and transformed it into a philosophy of life. The man who broke through Hollywood's bamboo ceiling with sheer talent and determination. The man who said, "Be like water," and taught the world that true strength comes from adaptability, from flowing around obstacles rather than crashing against them. Bruce didn't just fight on screen. He fought against stereotypes, against limitation, against the idea that someone who looked like him couldn't be a leading man, couldn't be a hero, couldn't change cinema forever. One is a boxer. One is a martial artist. One is loud and proud. One is quiet and philosophical. One talks about being the greatest. One talks about emptying your cup. One is America's champion. One is Asia's icon. But both share something profound, an understanding that the real fight isn't in the ring or on the movie set. The real fight is within yourself. The real opponent is your own doubt, your own fear, your own willingness to settle for less than you're capable of becoming. Now imagine these 2 men, at the peak of their powers, sitting down together for one night only. What would they talk about? What wisdom would emerge when confidence meets humility? What happens when the man who says, "I am the greatest," meets the man who says, "The successful warrior is the average man," with laser-like focus? What kind of magic occurs when East meets West, when boxing meets Kung Fu, when the butterfly meets the dragon? This conversation never happened in real life. History denied us this moment. Bruce Lee and Muhammad Ali lived in the same era. They respected each other. They even crossed paths in the world of fame and celebrity. But they never sat down together for a public conversation. We never got to see them on stage together, trading philosophies, sharing stories, challenging each other's ideas, and finding common ground. But just because it didn't happen doesn't mean we can't imagine it. Just because the cameras never rolled on this particular night doesn't mean the lessons these 2 men taught us have disappeared. Just because they never shared a microphone doesn't mean their voices don't still echo together in the hearts of everyone who refuses to give up, who refuses to be told they can't, who refuses to let the world define their limits. Tonight, we're going to create that conversation. We're going to imagine what it would have been like if these 2 legends had sat down together. We're going to explore their philosophies, their struggles, their triumphs, and their wisdom. We're going to witness a meeting of minds that transcends fighting styles and becomes something deeper. A conversation about what it means to be truly great, truly courageous, truly yourself in a world that constantly tries to put you in a box. This is fiction, yes. But it's fiction rooted in truth, the truth of who these men were, what they believed and what they stood for. This is the talk show that never happened. But perhaps, in some parallel universe, it did. And perhaps, through imagination, we can bring it to life. So settle in, turn off your distractions, open your mind, because you're about to witness Muhammad Ali and Bruce Lee in conversation. You're about to hear what happens when 2 legends stop fighting opponents and start sharing truth. You're about to experience the greatest talk show that never was. Are you ready? Then let's step into that studio. Let's turn back time. Let's imagine the impossible in America. The Vietnam War is finally winding down. The civil rights movement has transformed the nation, though the struggle for equality continues. Young people are questioning authority, challenging old ways of thinking, and demanding a new vision of what's possible. Music, fashion, and culture are exploding with creativity and rebellion. In Hong Kong, Bruce Lee has just released Enter the Dragon, a film that will shatter every expectation of what a martial arts movie can be, what an Asian actor can achieve, and what kind of hero the world is ready to embrace. In the boxing world, Muhammad Ali has reclaimed his throne. After being stripped of his titles for refusing to fight in Vietnam, after years of legal battles and exile from the sport he dominated, he's fought his way back. He's proven that you can stand on principle and still stand victorious. He's shown the world that a champion isn't just someone who wins fights. A champion is someone who fights for what's right. And on this particular evening, in a television studio in Los Angeles, these two worlds are about to collide in the most beautiful way possible. The studio itself is a marvel of 1970s television production. Heavy cameras on wheeled dollies, thick cables snaking across the floor. Massive stage lights suspended from the ceiling, casting a warm glow across the set. The audience seating rises in curved rows, packed with people from every walk of life. Students and professors, factory workers and business executives, Black, white, Asian, Latino, all gathered together because tonight transcends race, transcends culture, transcends the usual divisions that separate people. The set design is elegant in its simplicity. A burnt orange backdrop, typical of the era. Two comfortable armchairs in rich brown leather, angled slightly toward each other. Between them, a low table with a small vase of flowers and 2 glasses of water. Everything is positioned perfectly for the cameras to capture every gesture, every expression, every moment of connection between the two guests. The studio band finishes their warm-up number. The audience applauds. The energy in the room is electric, almost tangible. People are leaning forward in their seats. Cameras are positioned and ready. The director, sitting in the control booth above, speaks into his headset. 30 seconds to air. The host takes his position at the side of the stage. His name is Dick Cavett, known for his intelligent interviews, his quick wit, and his ability to have substantive conversations with guests, rather than just superficial banter. If this imaginary meeting were to happen anywhere, it would be on his show. He's nervous, yes, but also thrilled. This is the interview of a lifetime. 10 seconds. The theme music begins. The audience applauds louder. The one AIR sign illuminates red. Cavett walks onto the stage, smiling at the cameras, at the audience, embracing the moment. Good evening, and welcome to a very special edition of our show. He begins, his voice smooth and practiced. Tonight, we have something truly unprecedented. 2 men who need no introduction. But I'll give them one anyway because their stories deserve to be told. He pauses for effect. Our first guest is a man who has transformed boxing into poetry. He predicted he would shake up the world, and he did exactly that. 3-time heavyweight champion, Olympic gold medalist, activist, poet, the self-proclaimed greatest of all time. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome. The audience erupts. The band plays a triumphant fanfare. From stage left, Muhammad Ali enters. He's wearing a crisp dark suit, a narrow tie perfectly knotted, his shoes polished to a mirror shine. But what strikes you most isn't what he's wearing, it's how he moves. Even walking across a stage, there's rhythm in his step, confidence in his posture. He's 31 years old in his absolute prime, and he knows it. He waves to the crowd, blows a kiss to someone in the front row, shakes Cavett's hand with a grip that's firm but friendly, and settles into his chair like a king taking his throne. Before the applause even dies down, Cavett continues. Our second guest is a man who has revolutionized martial arts and cinema simultaneously. A philosopher, a fighter, an artist who moves so fast that cameras have to slow down just to capture what he does. The star of The Big Boss, Fist of Fury, and the soon-to-be-released Enter the Dragon, please welcome Bruce Lee. From stage right, Bruce Lee appears. The audience goes absolutely wild. Where Ali commanded attention with charisma and showmanship, Bruce commands it with pure, concentrated focus. He's wearing black slacks and a simple dark shirt, no flashy suit, no unnecessary decoration. His movements are economical, precise, almost cat-like. Every step seems deliberate, as if he's conserving energy for when it truly matters. His hair is perfectly styled, his expression calm but alert, his eyes taking in everything. The cameras, the audience, the man already seated on stage. He shakes Cavit's hand with a brief smile, then turns to Ali. The two men lock eyes. For a moment, the entire studio seems to hold its breath. Here they are, finally face to face. The boxer and the martial artist. The showman and the philosopher. The man who floats like a butterfly and the man who moves like water. Ali stands up, extending his hand. Bruce takes it. Their handshake is firm, respectful, accompanied by genuine smiles. Ali says something quietly that the microphones don't quite catch, and Bruce laughs, a real laugh, not forced or polite. Whatever Ali said, it broke the ice immediately. They sit down, and already you can sense that this won't be a confrontation. This will be a conversation between two men who recognize greatness in each other. Cavit settles into his own chair, positioned slightly to the side, and lets the moment breathe before speaking. Gentlemen, thank you both for being here. I have to start with the question that everyone in this studio, everyone watching at home, is thinking right now. He pauses, building anticipation. Who would win in a fight between the two of you? The audience laughs and applauds. They want to hear this. Ali doesn't miss a beat. He leans back in his chair, spreads his arms wide, and flashes that famous smile. Dick, that's easy. Me? Of course. The audience roars. I'm the greatest boxer who ever lived. I'm fast, I'm strong, I'm pretty, and I can predict the round. This man here, he gestures toward Bruce. He's good, don't get me wrong, he's fast. Real fast. But can he dodge a punch from these? Ali holds up his fists, turning them slowly for the cameras. These hands have knocked out giants. These hands have danced around the best fighters in the world. I float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
You can't hit what you can't see.
The crowd eats it up. Ali is in his element, performing, entertaining, confident without crossing into arrogance, because somehow, when Ali says he's the greatest, it doesn't sound like bragging, it sounds like stating a fact. Cavit turns to Bruce, eyebrows raised. Bruce, your response? Bruce smiles, a small, knowing smile that suggests he's heard this kind of challenge before, and isn't threatened by it in the slightest. When he speaks, his voice is calm, measured, with that slight accent that makes every word feel carefully chosen. Muhammad is right about one thing. Bruce begins. He is very fast. Incredibly fast for a man his size. And in a boxing match with boxing rules in a boxing ring, he would absolutely defeat me. No question. Ali nods, satisfied, but Bruce isn't finished. But fighting is not just about speed or power. It's about adaptability. It's about understanding the situation and responding appropriately. He leans forward slightly, his intensity building though his voice remains calm. Muhammad fights with his hands, following specific rules, in a specific environment. I study all forms of combat. I adapt to the opponent, to the situation. Fighting has no rules. The street has no referee. He pauses, letting that sink in. Speed is not about moving fast. It's about moving at the right moment, in the right way. A hummingbird's wings move incredibly fast. But would you say the hummingbird is a better fighter than a hawk? The audience murmurs appreciatively. The fight is won before the first punch is thrown. It's won in the mind, in the preparation, in understanding yourself and your opponent. Ali listens intently, his playful expression shifting to something more thoughtful. He's not offended. If anything, he seems genuinely interested in what Bruce is saying. See, now that's interesting. Ali responds, pointing at Bruce. You talk about the mind. I respect that. But I talk about heart. When you're in that ring, round 12, you're hurt. You're tired. Your body is screaming at you to quit. It's not your mind that saves you, brother. It's your will. It's your heart. It's your refusal to go down. Bruce nods slowly. True. But will without awareness is just stubbornness. And stubbornness gets you killed. Maybe. Ali grins. But it also wins championships. The audience applauds. This is exactly what they came for. Dick Cavit watches the exchange with visible delight. This is going better than he could have imagined. The two guests aren't just answering questions. They're genuinely engaging with each other, challenging each other's ideas while maintaining respect. This is what great television looks like. He lets the applause die down before shifting gears. Gentlemen, I want to move beyond the hypothetical fight. If we can. He leans forward, his expression becoming more serious. Both of you have faced something that perhaps matters more than any physical opponent. You've both faced a society that tried to limit you, that tried to tell you who you could be and what you could do. Muhammad, you were told to shut up and fight. Bruce, you were told that someone who looks like you couldn't be a leading man in Hollywood. How did you push through that? Where did you find the strength, The mood in the studio shifts. The playful banter gives way to something deeper, more meaningful. Ali's smile fades. His posture changes. The entertainer recedes and the activist emerges. When he speaks, his voice carries a weight that silences every whisper in the audience. Dick, let me tell you something. When I was younger, when I was Cassius Clay, I won a gold medal for this country. Olympic gold. I came back to Louisville wearing that medal around my neck, proud as could be. You know what happened? He pauses, looking directly into the camera. I couldn't get served at a restaurant because of the color of my skin. That gold medal didn't matter. My achievements didn't matter. All they saw was a black man. The studio is completely silent. So I had a choice. Ali continues. I could accept their limitations. I could be the good, quiet athlete who just fights and collects his check and says aye, sir, and no, sir, and doesn't make waves. Or I could stand up. I could speak out. I could refuse to be just an entertainer for people who wouldn't even let me eat at their lunch counter. He sits up straighter, his voice growing stronger. They wanted me to fight in their war. A war in Vietnam against people who never called me names, who never lynched my people, who never told me I couldn't drink from their water fountain. And I said no. I said, I ain't got no quarrel with them Viet Cong. And you know what that cost me? Everything. My titles. My license. My prime years as a fighter. They took it all because I stood on principle. Ali's eyes are blazing now, but there's no anger, just conviction. But I'd do it again. Because what good is being the greatest in the ring if you're nobody outside of it? What good is all the fame and money if you can't look yourself in the mirror and respect the man looking back at you? The audience erupts in applause. Some people are standing. A few are wiping their eyes. Cavett turns to Bruce, who has been listening with complete attention, nodding occasionally. Bruce, you understand this struggle in your own way, don't you? Bruce takes a breath, gathering his thoughts. When he speaks, his voice is quieter than Ali's, but no less powerful. Yes, very much so. He looks at Ali with an expression of solidarity. When I went to Hollywood, I thought talent would be enough. I thought if I could move like no one else, if I could bring something unique and authentic to the screen, that doors would open. I was wrong. He shakes his head, a slight smile of bitter irony crossing his face. They saw me as a sidekick, a servant, the mystical Asian character who teaches the white hero and then disappears, or the villain with the accent who makes strange sounds and gets defeated in the third act. They could not imagine someone who looked like me as the hero, as the romantic lead, as the star. Bruce's hands gesture as he speaks, emphasizing his points with controlled movement. I auditioned for a television series, a show that was my concept, my idea. They liked it. They developed it. And then they gave the lead role to a white actor. They took my story and erased me from it. Several people in the audience gasp. So I went back to Hong Kong. I made films there. I showed them what I could do without their permission, without their approval. And when those films became massive hits, when people all over Asia were lining up to see them, when the whole world suddenly wanted kung fu movies, then Hollywood noticed. Then they wanted me back. He looks at Ali again. Like you, Muhammad, I realized that I couldn't wait for others to validate me. I had to validate myself. I had to prove my worth on my own terms. Ali nods firmly. That's it right there, brother. That's exactly it. Don't wait for permission to be great. Bruce says never. Ali agrees. Dick Cavett feels the weight of the moment. What started as a talk show has transformed into something deeper, a conversation about identity, resistance, and self-determination. He can see it in the faces of the audience members, many of whom are leaning forward, hanging on every word. This is why television exists, he thinks. For moments like this. He decides to explore the philosophical differences between his two guests, to see where their approaches to life diverge, and where they might surprisingly align. I want to ask you both about confidence. Cavett begins, because you represent two very different approaches to it. Muhammad, you're famous for saying I am the greatest. You announce it to the world, you write poetry about it. You make sure everyone knows exactly how good you are. Bruce, on the other hand, you teach about humility, about emptying your cup, about being like water. You emphasize self-awareness over self-promotion. How do you reconcile these two philosophies? Ali jumps in immediately, as if he's been waiting for this question his entire life. Dick, let me explain something. When I say I'm the greatest, I'm not being arrogant. I'm being honest. He taps his temple with his finger. Confidence isn't arrogance if you can back it up, and I can back it up. I work harder than anyone. I train when other fighters are sleeping. I study my opponents. I prepare my body and my mind. And then, when fight night comes, I deliver exactly what I promised. He stands up, unable to contain his energy, and begins to move around the stage with that distinctive Ali shuffle. See, people want fighters to be humble, quiet, grateful. They want us to say, "Oh, I hope I do well. I'll try my best. We'll see what happens." But why? Why should I pretend I don't know how good I am? I've beaten Sonny Liston. I've beaten George Foreman. I've beaten everyone they put in front of me. It's not bragging if it's true. The audience applauds and Ali sits back down, satisfied. But here's the real reason I talk the way I do. He continues, his tone becoming more serious. When I was growing up, black people were taught to be humble, to not make waves, to accept whatever crumbs society gave us. I decided I wasn't going to do that. I decided I was going to speak my greatness out loud, because my people needed to hear it. Young black kids needed to see someone who looked like them standing tall, being proud, refusing to shrink. He points to the camera. So when I say I am the greatest, I'm not just talking about boxing. I'm saying that we black people, oppressed people, we are great. We deserve to take up space. We deserve to be heard. My confidence is political, brother. It's revolutionary. The studio erupts again. Ali has a way of turning even self-promotion into something profound. Cavett turns to Bruce, who has been listening thoughtfully, a slight smile on his face. Bruce, your response. Bruce takes a moment before speaking, choosing his words carefully as always. I respect what Muhammad is saying. I truly do. And I understand why his approach is necessary and powerful, especially for his community, for his people. He nods toward Ali. But I come from a different tradition, a different way of thinking. He shifts in his seat, his posture relaxed but alert. In martial arts, we have a saying, the loudest duck gets shot first. Excessive pride makes you a target. It makes you rigid. It makes you unable to adapt when circumstances change. He raises his hand, palm up. I believe the most powerful force in nature is water. Water doesn't announce itself. Water doesn't say, I am the strongest element. Water simply flows. It adapts to whatever container you put it in. It goes around obstacles. And yet, over time, water can carve through mountains. The audience is rapt, completely absorbed in this philosophical exchange. The tree that stands tallest and rigid in the storm will snap. Bruce continues. But the tree that bends, that flows with the wind, survives. This is my philosophy. Not silence because of weakness, but silence because of strength. The confidence that doesn't need to announce itself because it simply is. Ali grins, clearly enjoying this intellectual sparring match. See, that's beautiful, Bruce, real poetic. But let me ask you something. He leans forward. If water is so powerful just by being water, why do you make movies? Why do you do demonstrations? Why did you write books? Isn't that announcing yourself? Bruce laughs a genuine, delighted laugh. He's been caught in a small contradiction, and he knows it. You make a fair point, Muhammad. He concedes. Perhaps I'm not as silent as I think I am. Maybe, Ali responds. You and me aren't so different after all. Maybe you shake the tree quietly, and I shake it loud. But we both shaking it. The conversation has been flowing for nearly an hour now, though it feels like only minutes have passed. The audience hasn't stirred. No one has gotten up for a bathroom break. No one has checked their watch. They're completely absorbed in this meeting of minds, this collision of philosophies, this rare moment when two extraordinary human beings are being completely authentic with each other and with the world. Dick Cavett knows that all good things must come to an end, but he wants to make this final segment count. He wants to leave the audience, both in the studio and watching at home, with something they can carry with them, something that will resonate long after the credits roll. He takes a breath and asks the question he's been saving. Gentlemen, we're running short on time, but I have one final question for both of you. He pauses, making eye contact with each man. Right now, in 1973, there are millions of people watching this show. Young people, old people, people of every race and background. Some of them are struggling. Some of them feel trapped by circumstance, by poverty, by discrimination, by their own fears and doubts. If you could give one piece of advice to someone who's struggling right now, someone who feels like the world is against them, what would you say? The studio falls silent. This is the question that matters most. Ali and Bruce look at each other, a silent communication passing between them. Ali gestures with an open hand. You go first. Bruce nods and turns to face the camera directly. When he speaks, his voice is gentle but firm, like a teacher addressing a student he believes in. To anyone who is struggling, I want you to understand this: you are not your circumstances. You are not the limitations that others place on you. You are not even the limitations you place on yourself. He makes a fist, then slowly opens it. Right now you might feel rigid, stuck, unable to move forward. But I want you to remember, be water. He leans forward, his intensity building. What does this mean? It means adapt. When life puts an obstacle in your path, don't crash against it over and over until you break. Flow around it. Find another way. Water doesn't fight the rock. Water goes around the rock, over the rock, through the cracks in the rock. And eventually, over time, water shapes the rock. His hands move as he speaks, illustrating his philosophy. Your struggles are temporary. Your pain is temporary. But your ability to adapt, to learn, to grow, that is permanent. Don't resist the flow of life. Don't become rigid in your thinking. When one door closes, flow toward another door. When one path becomes blocked, find a new path. The bamboo that bends in the wind is stronger than the oak that resists and breaks. He sits back, his expression softening. And most importantly, know yourself. Not who others say you are, but who you truly are. Empty your cup of all the false beliefs, all the negative voices, all the doubt. Then fill it with truth, with discipline, with purpose. You have greatness inside you. You just have to stop letting the world convince you otherwise. The audience is completely still. Some are nodding. Some have tears in their eyes. Kaveh turns to Ali. Muhammad. Ali is quiet for a moment, rare for him. When he speaks, his voice lacks the playful bravado of earlier. This is Ali at his most sincere, his most real. Bruce said it beautifully. I'm going to say it a different way. He looks directly into the camera, speaking to that struggling person as if they're sitting right in front of him. Believe in yourself even when the world doesn't. Especially when the world doesn't. He lets that hang in the air. They told me I couldn't be a champion because of where I came from. They told me to shut up and fight. They told me I was throwing my life away when I stood up for my beliefs. They stripped me of my titles. They banned me from boxing. They called me a traitor, a coward, a fool. And you know what I said? He stands up, his voice rising with passion. I said, I know who I am. I know what I believe. And I will not bend. I will not break. I will not apologize for being exactly who I am. And I didn't. And I came back, and I won. He points to the camera. You will face people who don't believe in you. You will face systems designed to keep you down. You will face moments when giving up seems easier than going on. But if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. If you don't believe in yourself, why should anyone else? His voice becomes quieter but more intense. Champions aren't made in gyms. Champions are made from something deep inside them, a desire, a dream, a vision. You have that inside you. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Start now. Be great now. Because the world needs your greatness. The applause is thunderous, rolling through the room in waves. People aren't just clapping, they're cheering, whistling, some openly crying. What they've witnessed isn't just entertainment. It's transformation. It's inspiration. It's two men who have faced down impossible odds, sharing the hard, won wisdom that carried them through. Dick Cavett stands as well, shaking hands with both men. Ali pulls him into an embrace. Bruce bows respectfully, first to Cavett, then to Ali, then to the audience. The cameras capture it all, this moment of mutual respect, of shared humanity, of two warriors recognizing the fighter and everyone watching. As the applause continues, Ali and Bruce shake hands one final time. They hold the grip for an extra moment, looking each other in the eye. No words are spoken, but the message is clear: we see each other. We respect each other. We honor each other. The cameras fade to black. The show is over, but the impact is just beginning. In living rooms across America and around the world, people sit in silence, processing what they just witnessed. A young black teenager in Detroit, who was told he'd never amount to anything, stands a little taller. A Chinese immigrant in San Francisco, who was told to keep his head down and accept his place, decides he won't accept anything less than his dreams. A woman in Alabama, who was told that success wasn't for people like her, picks up a pen and starts writing the business plan she'd been afraid to pursue. This conversation never happened in real life. Muhammad Ali and Bruce Lee never sat down together for this interview. History denied us that moment. These two legends existed in the same era, respected each other from a distance, but never had this public dialogue we've just imagined. Bruce Lee died tragically in July 1973, at just 32 years old, his potential not even fully realized. Muhammad Ali continued fighting until 1981, facing Parkinson's disease with the same courage he showed in the ring, becoming an ambassador for peace and humanitarian causes until his death in 2016. But just because this conversation didn't happen, doesn't mean it couldn't have happened. Just because the cameras never rolled on this particular night, doesn't mean the truth isn't real. Because everything they said in this imaginary conversation reflects who they truly were. Ali really did sacrifice everything for his principles. Bruce really did face discrimination and fight back by proving his worth. Ali really did speak his greatness out loud as an act of resistance. Bruce really did teach about flowing like water and adapting to circumstance. These were their genuine philosophies, their real struggles, their actual wisdom. And that wisdom remains as relevant today as it was in 1973. We still face people who try to limit us. We still encounter systems designed to keep us in our place. We still struggle with doubt, fear, and the gap between who we are and who we dream of becoming. We still need to decide, will we be loud like Ali or quiet like Bruce? Will we announce our greatness or simply embody it? Will we crash against obstacles or flow around them? The answer, perhaps, is that we need both approaches. Sometimes we need Ali's boldness, his refusal to shrink, his loud proclamation that we matter and we're great, and we will not be ignored. Sometimes we need Bruce's adaptability, his philosophical calm, his understanding that strength doesn't always need to announce itself. The real lesson is this: don't let the world define you. Don't wait for permission to pursue your greatness. Don't accept the limitations others place on you, especially when those limitations are based on ignorance, fear, or prejudice. Be water when you need to flow. Be fire when you need to fight. Be humble when learning. Be confident when performing. Honor tradition and break barriers. Respect your teachers and become your own master. Muhammad Ali taught us to believe in ourselves out loud. Bruce Lee taught us to master ourselves in silence. Both were revolutionaries. Both were artists. Both were warriors who understood that the real battle is always internal. Always about becoming the fullest version of yourself despite a world that would rather you stay small. This talk show never happened. But the truth it contains is eternal.